Good day, grade 12s. My name is Carden Madzokere. I'm the author of the distinction-bound student textbooks. I have economics grade 10, 11, and 12, and I also have business studies grade 11 and 12. All right, in this video, I just want to give you some exam tips and probably share some ideas that could help you move to, if you're a level 1 student, to level 2, 2 to 3, like that. But mostly I'm excited about distinctions. Like my brand is the distinction bound student. The idea came because I've always had a goal to influence economic students to getting distinctions, and so it then moved on to business studies. And I have a couple of authors that I'm working on other textbooks, so my dream is to have a brand that is known for producing distinctions. Alright, so on my YouTube channel for now, I only have economics and business studies videos. For business studies, it's only one video for now, but my goal is to, right. So one thing I can recommend is just watch my videos, because I've done tons of videos explaining concepts. But in this particular video, my main focus is how to pass. And I always say this, and it seems to be true. It's actually easier to pass economics than it is to fail economics. Alright, I'll explain just now. Alright, so let's have a look at our question paper. My main focus will be paper 2, because you guys are writing paper 2 tomorrow, but of course some people watch this video after paper 2. So what caused me to do this video was the fact that you guys are writing tomorrow. But then if you watch it in future, I hope it's going to help you as well. Alright, so the first thing I want to point out is, for you to pass, your section A must be very, very sound, obviously. You must get a very high mark. Now, how do you get a high mark in section A? You need to practice terminology, because the entire section A is terminology. You find, so you need to know how to define terms, because if you look at multiple choice, they give you some terms A, B, C, D, and you look at column A and B. In column A we have terms. If you look at 1.3, give a term or phrase, they give you a description of a term or a phrase. So the best thing I can say for section A is you need to know your terminology. Okay, so then the other thing that you can watch my videos on multiple choice. In economics we have 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's, and 2 D's in multiple choice. So knowing that can help you get a good mark. There are people who get 0 in multiple choice. Okay, if you've always been getting 0, then you might as well just say A throughout. You have a guaranteed 4 marks. But no, that's a very, very ignorant approach. You are going to try your best since you've been to class, so you are not completely clueless. So the ones that you know, take them down. And if you check and you see that the ones you know, you already have your 2 A's, maybe your 2 B's, so now you're left with C's and D's. You see, it's going to be easy. Or let's say you know 4, you don't know 4. Amongst the 4, you can see that, okay, I have my A's, I have my something like that. You can work it out and see. Let's say amongst the ones you know, you don't have D's at all. So the last options you don't know, just make them all D's. It can help you. All right, then when it comes to section column A and B, you use what I call the elimination method. The ones you get right, the ones you scratch them out already as you answer. And how I personally do it, I don't look at the term on the side. I read the description in column B, and when I read that description, I try to think of a term that relates to what the description is describing. And when I do that, in most cases, then I'll see, oh, so in this case the answer is let's say evaporate. Then I look in column A, then I see, oh, there is evaporate, so it becomes easy. Right, then when it comes to, oh sorry, there's a truck passing, I'm sorry for that. Right, when it comes to section B, obviously in section B the thing that can make you get a very good mark is your choice of questions. Now, some learners choose questions in the exam, which is not the right thing to do. You choose prior to the exam. You choose way ahead of time, because in the exam, you know, unless if you like a distinction student, and in that case I mean a learner who has to like study everything and not focus mainly on one module, because if you want to get a distinction, you can't focus on only one module. Like, you know, we have 4: macro, micro, economic pursuits, and contemporary. So for paper 1, you have your macro and economic pursuits. So if you want a distinction, then you definitely have to know both inside out, and so in that case you can decide in the exam room what to answer. But if you are a level 1 and you want to pass, ignore 2 modules, like completely ignore them. Don't even touch them when you study. Just use the knowledge you already have from class. Right, so in that case, you just simply try to, you know, come up with answers and so on. But if you focus on one module, let's say microeconomics, like for paper 1 I recommend macro, for paper 2 I recommend micro. All right, so this video will mainly be on microeconomics, since I'm just doing it, I'm not focusing on someone getting a distinction right now, but I'm focusing on someone passing, just passing 30 and above. Okay, right, so I talked about section A. Now so section A, there's no choosing, you just answer everything, so just know your terms. Let's go to section B. My biggest recommendation for section B is microeconomics. The reason is because if you look at the other module, which is not micro, it's contemporary. It has inflation, okay, it's an easy topic. It has tourism, it's quite easy. It has environmental sustainability, that's where some learners struggle there. And there's a specific essay that I don't like there, that if it was to come, if you compare that to the essays that could come in microeconomics, I don't see any essay that poses a big threat in microeconomics. Okay, we'll talk about them just now. All right, so in section B, I would say answer questions 2 and 4. That is obviously if you've been studying microeconomics. Okay, it's the one that I think is the easier option. All right, so you then answer question 2. Now here's how it's structured. One of the things that you need to know is how the question paper is structured to begin with. All right, so our paper, when it goes to section B, question 2 will be microeconomics, and it starts with 2.1.1. so 2.1.1 is always name any 2, state any 2, list any 2. So it can be a question like name any 2 market structures. So your answer will be monopoly and oligopoly, something like that, or perfect and, you see, monopolistic. So 2.1.1 is always easy. And then 2.1.2 is why, you know, that kind of a question. Why do we do this? Why is it that? Or how? Something like that. All right, and it's for 2 marks. So the first one, the mark allocation, 2.1.1, it's 2 times 1, 2. And then the 2.1.2 is 1 times 2. What that means is 2 times 1, we need 2 answers, we give you 1 mark each. And then 1 times 2, just 1 answer gets you the 2 marks. All right, so you should know what 2 times 1 mean, 1 times 2 mean. In that case, that's how it comes. Then 2.2 is a data response question. So when it comes to markets, the most common thing under data response is the graphs, because this thing, it's mainly, you know, markets, graphs. We have to test you on graphs in most cases. Go to past papers. I don't think I didn't check this one, but I doubt there is any past paper that doesn't have a graph for paper 2. I don't think that's possible. Maybe there is, but yo, that would be a weird one. All right, so you need to learn your graphs, and I find them to be very easy. not because it's me talking, but they are. It's just true, because I'm not going to recommend a topic that I also don't believe is easier. I'm talking on behalf of a learner. If you would give that thing time, graphs are very, very easy. Okay, you can watch my videos on graphs. You'll see that these things are easy. All right, so with section B, learn the graphs. There are common questions. Let me try to you know how 2.2 is structured. It's 2.1.1 going down, so it's 1 mark, 2 marks, 2 marks, 4 marks. All right, mostly, okay, let's see the 1 mark questions. Mostly it'll be identify the profit maximizing point, and it's always the point where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. Another common one will be which market structure is depicted by the graph above. In that case, you look at the demand curve. So if you see it's horizontal, it's perfect. You see it's downward sloping, look at elasticity. If it's inelastic, that's monopoly. If it's highly elastic, that's that'll be what do you call it, monopolistic. And if that demand curve is kinked, then you know it's oligopoly, because it's the only market structure with a kinked demand curve. And the minute you get that one wrong, the follow-up questions, you might get them wrong too, because they can ask you what is the nature of product in the market structure identified in 2.2.1. And so if you got it wrong, then there's a good chance that you get it wrong. Unless you're just doing guesswork, you might guess it right, because you might just know with, oh, there is homogeneous, there is heterogeneous. All right, another common one, they can say give an appropriate heading for the graph above. So you can say something like perfect competition, maybe economic profit, or economic profit for a perfect competitor, or monopoly, or anything. But make sure you give it an appropriate heading. How you see it, how you see the heading in the textbook, just give a heading like that. Or shut down for a perfect competitor, shut down point for a perfect competitor. So depending on what you see, give the graph an appropriate heading. And all these questions are for 1 mark, because they are quite easy. What is the significance of point A? Maybe point A is the profit maximizing point, or point A is the point of equilibrium, or point A is the shutdown point. It depends on what you are looking at, right? Another common one for 1 mark is identify the curve. They can just label it anyhow, maybe L. They say identify the curve labeled L. So L could be AC, it could be MC. Just know your curves. Just know this is the MC. How do you know it? You look at the shape. Okay, the one that is sort of U-shaped, that's the AC. The one that is like a Nike tick, that's the marginal cost curve. And the one that's horizontal, if it's perfect, it's D, it's AR, it's MR. So that's quite easy. Then from there, we have questions for 2 marks. Questions for 2 marks could be questions like, in some cases they could say, tell us how this equilibrium position could change in the long run. But normally they would put it 4 marks, because you probably have to say firms will exit, and when they exit, the individual will make normal profit, or new firms are going to enter, and when they enter, it will become normal profit. So you might need 2 points. So normally they put it under like for 4 marks, but again 4 marks is normally calculations. All right, so with that in mind, you then the next thing is you can also, like, you'd see an extract. In the extract, pick like, obviously that extract is going to give you some clues. They can be describing a perfectly competitive market. Then they ask you which market structure is this. The clues that they will always like try to use will be look at the number of firms in that scenario, and look at the nature of product in that scenario. You cannot write paper 2 if you haven't mastered the table that distinguishes the 4 market structures, because from that table you get a lot of marks. I've done it with some learners just to prove to them that if you were to master this table, or let's say if it was allowed to go into the exam room with only 1 page, I told them I would recommend that your 1 page should be the table. that distinguishes the 4 market structures. Because once you get that one right, you have 3 essays that you can answer just for having that table. The first one is, okay, it seems like now I'm talking about section C, but let me rather concentrate on section B, then we'll move to C. Okay, so that table could help you when they ask you questions like which market structure is that. So in the table it shows you demand curve. This one is horizontal, this one is downward sloping, this one is kinked, so you can see which market structure it is. Any follow-up question to that, you can still get it, because they can ask you what is the nature of product, how does its equilibrium position change in the long run. You can see long run for perfect and monopolistic, it's normal. And then for oligopoly and monopoly, it's economic profit. And all that is there in the graph. Simple. All right. The only thing that learners find a bit of a challenge with microeconomics is market failure. But market failure, again, it's not really a difficult topic. I don't know why learners find it difficult, but it's quite simple, because it's simply failure of markets to allocate resources at an optimum level. So if resources are not allocated optimally, then that's market failure. Simply, how I always say, if you take 3 teaspoons of sugar in your coffee, if someone puts 5, it's too sweet. If someone puts 1, it's not sweet enough. So the sugar has not been put like on, like, where your taste buds feel like, yeah, this is right for me. So market failure is maybe oversupply or undersupply. So 5 teaspoons of sugar for someone who puts 3, it's oversupply. 1 teaspoon is undersupply. So what's the optimum level? 3. So when markets supply 5 instead of 3, market failure. When markets supply 1 instead of 3, market failure. Undersupply, oversupply. That's simply what market failure is all about. And then it takes you back to grade 10, where we do the production possibility curve. It takes us to efficiency, productive and allocative efficiency, and we can prove that on the production possibility curve. And it has been a common trend now. They've been asking that graph. So I recommend that you watch my videos on these graphs, because I've done all the graphs. Actually, I started with graphs when I started uploading videos on YouTube, because I started in term 2, and that is when learners were preparing to go back to school. And so I was doing videos so that, yeah, during lockdown, so that they can watch these videos and they don't lag behind. So I find it helpful a lot. So from there we can then move on to section C. Now for section C, first and foremost, you need to know how to structure your essay. So it's and how our essay is structured, it's your introduction for 2 marks. And we only need 1 definition there, 1 point. We give you 2 marks. That's different from business studies, where you need 2 points and you get 1 mark each. So in economics, it's 1 definition, and then we give you 2 marks for your definition. Then already you don't need to waste your time having another bullet, because you got your 2 marks already in your first opening bullet. So you simply define the key term with regards to what the heading is about. Then from there, I'll talk about 5 essays that could possibly come, but let me finish the structure first. So the first thing will be number 1, your body. So you write body and then you say main part. Your main part, you must have at least I would say 13 points, because we are awarding mostly 2 marks per point. And we're also awarding headings. That is, if we didn't give you those headings as we ask the question. Let's say, for instance, if you're asked compare and contrast the 4 broad types of market structures, you get marks for knowing that, oh, we use nature of product, we use demand curve, we use collusion, we use this, we use that. So you get marks for that. All right, then from there it comes to the additional part. Now for the additional part, you wouldn't know exactly what would come, but if you check your exam guidelines, anything that says briefly discuss is a possible 10-mark question. That is your additional part in your essay. or anything that says draw. That's a good one. It's a possible 10-mark question. All right, so from there we then move on to the possible essays. I have a video on that, but let me just run through them. Okay, first, compare and contrast the 4 broad types of market structures. How do you compare them? How do you contrast them? You use the table. Okay, you might not do it in tabular format, but it's what I recommend. But you can also do it, you know, as long as you don't get confused, as long as you know what you're doing. All right, so we have 12 things that we use: number of firms, nature of product, decision making, allocative efficiency, productive efficiency, demand curve, you know, all that. So we have 12 things that we use to compare and contrast monopoly, oligopoly, monopolistic, and perfect. All right, so you don't go and write tomorrow until you can complete that table on your own. So check the table. If you don't have the table, then let me know. Maybe comment on this video, write your phone number, I'll send you a screenshot of the table that I'm referring to. Then you can see that it's quite easy. All right, so please don't go to write until you can put that table together. Right, that's essay number 1. Essay number 2, it says discuss with the aid of clearly labeled graphs the following equilibrium position. For the short run, they want normal profit, economic profit, and economic loss for a perfect competitor. And then they want you to be able to do long run, normal profit, because the perfect competitor will make normal profit in the long run. And then last but not least, shutdown point. All right, so these are the 5 graphs that you should not go to sleep until you can draw them, because if they come as an essay, you are going to regret it if you don't learn them right now. If you don't know the table, you don't know the 5 graphs, just learn how to draw them. And I also recommend that you use numbers. Instead of you saying P1, I recommend that you say 10 Rand, 8 Rand, so that as you explain below, you can actually use calculations to explain. Like the firm above is making an economic loss of 2 Rand, and then you can show your calculations to prove that it is what do you call it? It is normal profit, or it is economic profit, or it's economic loss. So I recommend that you use numbers instead of, and then on your quantity axis as well, use numbers, 100, 50, anything. It's up to you. As long as your numbers are on the graph, they tally with the numbers in your description below. All right, then from there you then move on to essay number 3. Possible essay number 3 will be from dynamics of imperfect markets. So these 2, that's dynamics of perfect markets. You see they are easy, right? Table, 5 graphs. Then this one, discuss a monopoly in detail. How do you discuss a monopoly? You use number of firms, nature of product, decision making. Do you notice that it's the table again? The next one is oligopoly. Discuss an oligopoly in detail. How do you discuss an oligopoly in detail? It's in the table. Number of firms, nature of product, collusion, demand curve, decision making, allocative efficiency, productive, all that. So you are using those things, simple. Then from there, you then go to what is this one? So we have 4 already. Then you go to the last 2, market failure. So the first one on market failure will be discuss causes of market failure. So causes of market failure, I came up with the word milli. I've been saying this over and over in my videos. Milli. All right, so your milli is MIELII. So M, that's missing markets. I, that's imperfect markets, they cause market failure, right? Then E, externalities, we have positive and negative. And then I, that's immobility of factors of production. And then I, again, that's imperfect distribution of income and wealth. So milli, please don't go to sleep until you know milli. If milli doesn't come as an essay, these things might come in section B, these things might come in section A. So it's best that you learn them. And then last but not least, we have the 6th essay, which is again from market failure. So that essay will be discuss what do you call it, state intervention as a consequence of market failure. Is it markets fail? Is it markets undersupply, markets oversupply? Then one of the consequences of that is government has to intervene. So government intervention is a consequence of market failure. So since it is, then government then intervenes. And when government does intervene, what graphs could you possibly draw? Okay, the first one is minimum wages. So minimum wages is a form of government intervention to avoid market failure. And then the next graph is minimum prices. Government will intervene and set minimum prices. This they will normally do for something which is oversupplied, something like alcohol. So they would say, okay, let's say for instance 15 rand is what we're charging for a beer, 15 rand, and then government sees that no, people are affording beer a lot, then they set a minimum price 20 rand to make beer more expensive. So they are trying to say no one should sell beer for less than 20 rand. So 20 is the minimum. So you can sell beer for 21, 22, we don't care, as long as you don't sell it for 19, 18. So they do it to make it more expensive. So government will have seen overconsumption, people are drinking a lot of alcohol and so on, and the reason is the negative externality that comes from consuming alcohol. So government then intervenes and then tries to bring down the numbers. So it can work, it does work actually, right? So that's number two. Number three, maximum prices. So maximum prices, it's the price ceiling. So minimum price, that's the price floor. So 20 rand will be the floor, charge anything above the floor. Then maximum prices, that's the ceiling. You must not go beyond this price. And government could do this with something that is merit. Okay, something like education, healthcare, and so on. Like trying to make sure that education is affordable, trying to make sure that education is affordable, medical care is affordable, and all that. Let me give you an example. Brown bread is healthy. And so let's say government wants us to afford brown bread, they can set a maximum price. Okay, now for it to be effective, the maximum price must be set below the market price. Same applies to minimum price. The minimum price must be set above the market price. So if the market price is 15, you set 20. Now, the opposite side is, if the market price is 15, for minimum prices, for maximum prices, if the market price is 15, you could make it 12 rand or 10 rand. That means you cannot sell brown bread at more than 12 rand. So sell it for 12 and below. 12 rand 50, no, we'll report you, because government has implemented a maximum price on this. So 12 rand is the maximum. Charge anything. Now each one has an effect, but you can go and watch those videos that I uploaded on these graphs. Then I just, yeah, let me wrap up. Then we have positive, so I said 3 first, so there are 5: positive externality and negative. So you can watch these videos as well. So if you see these 6 essays, one of them is definitely coming, and when you are preparing for these 6, you are actually doing section A, section B, one way or the other, because you are learning terminology, and you are learning to define. In section B, they'll ask you to define. In section B, they'll say which market structure. When you know, because you've been doing the table. So if you then fail, it's something I've done in 28 minutes. I've explained the things that you should do that I recommend, and you can see it's not much that I'm asking for. So do the 6 essays. Start with the table. Draw. So there's 10 graphs that I want you to draw before you go to sleep, and those 10, 5 from what do you call it, perfect, and then 5 from market failure. If these 10 graphs don't come in as an essay, one way or the other, you could find them in section B. So it's a win-win thing. You are not going to lose if you follow this this advice. All right, so I guess it's true. It's actually easier to pass economics than to fail it, because in some cases I just don't understand. How did you fail? You deserve lunch if you fail economics. All right, I'm Carden Madzokere, and thank you so much. You've been watching my videos. I thank you for your support, but at the same time, it's a win-win. I help you, you help me. That's how it is. All right, thank you so much. I wish you all the best, in not just in economics, but in other subjects. Okay, today learners are writing business studies. What's the date today? I forgot the date, but learners are writing business, and tomorrow they're writing economics. But you might be watching this in future. Yes, you know this was done in the past. Thank you so much. We'll talk. I'll see you in the next video.